The Sims is turning 25 today, at least here in Europe, and there are many things that can be said about this SimCity spin-off that has spawned a best-selling franchise, but I'm sure most, if not all of those things have already been said. So, instead of looking at the game's history and all the little details it encompasses, in this video I want to share with you my personal experience with the game and its expansion packs to take you on quite the nostalgic trip in the hopes of you relating to it and perhaps igniting you the desire to revisit it. It is true that all the rumors that began circulating a couple of weeks ago about a possible remaster or re-release of the first two Sims games have inspired me to make this video. However, I knew the 25th anniversary was around the corner, and let's just say, if I had any small intention of going back to this game, well, I just took that as my cue. And by the way, I will not be sharing any opinions or thoughts regarding these recently released ports, as that is not the purpose of this video. Okay, so let's get into it now. First of all, I have to mention that I haven't played The Sims since late 2007 or early 2008. Yes, I know that by then The Sims 2 had already been released, but keep in mind I was always behind with video games, mainly due to the fact that I relied on them being gifted to me in order to play them. In fact, I think The Sims was already installed on the computer that I was given, which was also my very first PC, the family's PC actually. Playing The Sims on the family's computer, doesn't that already ring the nostalgic bells? Right from the start, I have to point out something that immediately impacts you and contributes to the making of your very first memories related to this game: the music. Even now, going back to this title after so many years, as soon as I hear this, not only am I falling straight down memory lane, it feels as if I'm actually teleported in the flesh back to those wonderful childhood afternoons spent with this game. Every piece falls into place perfectly. The neighborhood music, creator sim music, buy and build mode music, every borough is distinctively represented, from downtown with its cozy jazz tunes, to the carefree vibes of Vacation Island, high-class big band music of Studio Town, and the eerily chaotic arrangements heard in Magic Town. It's interesting to note that, as memorable as all these themes are, in truth, you will not hear them that often in-game. I mean, sure, there's the stereos which your Sims can listen and dance to music, but otherwise, they're mostly present during the loading screens. Oh, and of course, build or buy mode. And speaking of build mode, I know plenty of people play these games solely for the purpose of building and decorating homes. I think that's great. Some people play these games for the life simulation and they use pre-made houses, or even families for that matter. Some people, as I said, use this game as a tool to express their interior decoration ideas, while others choose the complete experience and invest utmost care in making their Sims live out their best lives possible. I think that's great. That's what made this series from its very first release such a personal experience. It's a free-for-all. You can virtually fulfill your fantasies, care for the Sims you create, or simply cause havoc without fear of consequences. After all, you could always just load that backup save. I loved jumping straight into Create a Sim, making sure to check all the possible customization options, so we'll do that right now. Oh, did I mention the customization options? Yeah, well, there aren't that many. You could pick your Sim's gender, skin tone and age, but we're still a long way from being able to choose individual hairstyles, makeup or carefully sculpt facial and body features. Instead, we get to choose a head style and a body style, to name our Sim, assign personality points, which will determine a certain zodiac sign, highly important for our playthroughs relationship-wise, and we could also add a short bio for our created Sims. As you'd expect for the first game in the series, especially considering the fact that it was developed during the second half of the 90s, it's quite the bare-bones character creator. However, even revisiting it now, I actually kind of like its simplicity. With only these two customizable characteristics, you still get plenty of options, especially with the installed expansion packs, to create quite a unique looking sim. And even though there are only so many head and body combinations you can generate, you could still differentiate between a middle-aged sim and a young adult one. It's interesting to note that this first game also lacks an aging mechanic. Adult sims, whether younger or older looking, will never die of old age, and even children will not grow into adults. You could call this a technological limitation, and the game's engine could very well be the culprit, but it could also be considered a stylistic choice, as if you get to endlessly enjoy managing the family you create. And speaking of, The Sims also lacks a family relationship system in a sense that your characters do not share any genetics, as this would be introduced with The Sims 2. Instead, the household is the family. Right from the beginning, they're sharing the same surname, the same roof, and the same goods. However, it's pretty weird having to build relationships still. For instance, look what happens when the time came for my newly created family's first night together. But these games are full of quirky fun little things such as this. I'm not going to touch on the graphics because they're another reason for nostalgia personally. As soon as my newly created family moves in, I noticed this game's 2.5D graphics. The camera can be panned freely using the right mouse button and rotated left or right at a 45-degree angle, much like SimCity. The Sim characters themselves are 3D and fully animated, however, it seems that everything else is pre-rendered. This sometimes gives me serious Resident Evil vibes when playing. In fact, it never occurred to me that the Sims' faces are not animated. They never move their mouths or blink, typical of early 3D games. But overall, the 2D-3D mix is a pleasant, highly stylized result, and it works both for objects that are meant to evoke comfort or the contrary. The places that Sims can visit are varied and look distinct, of course, especially if you have more or all expansion packs installed. Speaking of, back in the day, I remember only having those up to vacation, or as it's titled in Europe, on holiday. So I did miss out on quite a lot of stuff. For instance, I couldn't get my Sims to own pets since they were introduced in the Unleashed expansion pack. To me, pets became a thing in Sims 2 and especially 3, where I actually became obsessed with them. I think it was one of the best Sims 3 EPs, since you could actually control the pet's actions. But I'm sure the fact that 3 remains my favorite also played a big part in that. Anyway, as I was saying, in The Sims Unleashed, you can now adopt pets, whether by visiting Old Town or right from your yard, since both cats and dogs will start popping up from your very first day in the neighborhood. But that's not all. You'll also be visited by a pesky raccoon called El Bandito. He'll wake up everyone in the house and cause a mess by jumping into the bin. In the Superstar expansion, you can hire agents in the hope of climbing up the ladder of success and becoming the next big celebrity. Oh, and also run into John Bon Jovi and Marilyn Monroe among other celebrities. Lacking expansion packs also meant that I could not experience the fantasy setting introduced in Making Magic. This adds a ton of gameplay changes as well. Your Sims can learn to cast spells, so you can turn those annoying neighbors into toads, you can create magic charms, eat and cook new foods, and so much more. I still have a lot left to explore. This journey begins as soon as you move in. The mystery man drops a box containing your first magical items. A wand, a spellbook, the ingredients needed for the mentioned toad spell, and a hole in the ground, which takes you straight into Magic Town. By the way, I absolutely love the bass slap sound effect for when there are no interactions. However, I do remember going on dates thanks to the Hot Date expansion. Ah yes, many romances were built in that Langra Mall burger diner. This was the first time our Sims could leave their homes, introducing what was to become a staple of the series, community lots. I found it weird how time works when you leave home, continuing to pass in the community lot you're visiting whilst being frozen and resuming once you're back home. This can lead to some complicated situations that I will now get into. So, in the first game, time is only measured in hours and minutes. There are no weekdays or weeks. Days start being counted from the moment you move in, and the number represents how many days you've spent with that family ever since. Every 3 days, bills are delivered into the mailbox, and in order to pay them and to avoid your property being repossessed, you will need income in the form of simoleons. That means having to go to work, and goodness me, is the process easier than real life. A newspaper will have 1 job opening per day, but a computer will list 3, giving you more variety before accepting a job and also ridding you of the need to wait for the next day's newspaper to be delivered in order to find out what else is available. So this is where the aforementioned complicated scenarios can intervene. The first Sims is still regarded by many as being the most difficult in the series, and I agree, although the later games would focus more and more on fun activities like hobbies and vocations, while still adding their own challenges and levels of difficulty, the OG is all about proper time and resource management, just like real life. In this sense, I feel like this one resembles SimCity the most. Yes, it can still be about living out your perfect fantasy and storytelling, especially with the included photo album. However, it is a game built to be played like a strategy game rather than a social simulator. Just like in real life, you'll find that, yes, in order to keep things operational, you'll have to earn income, but unlike reality, there are no weekends, and although you could skip work for a day, making that a habit 2 days in a row will lead your sim to being fired. So you could technically go to work every other day, but there will still be aspects that you need to care for. In order to perform well at a job, which will lead to promotions, you have to both send your sim to work in a good mood and also improve certain field of work related skills. But neglect recreational and social needs, and soon enough you'll see your sim begging for a break. And if that's the case, this is where the Vacation expansion pack comes in handy. Now, the way time works in this game, as I mentioned earlier, is a true blessing, because you can spend as much time as you want, or afford, on holiday. You can also conduct your indoor activities wherever you want, because hotels are treated as home lots by the game's logic, so goodbye stress of planning and booking. Even in this aspect, the game is offering an option for each different preference, with snow, camping or beach-themed resorts, each with their own unique visuals and activities. There are still so many more things that I didn't mention in this video because I also want to hear your sim stories. So please leave your fondest memory related to this first game in the comments. I cannot wait to read them and relate to your experiences. So we have reached the end of the video. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been an enjoyable experience for you. I just want to express how happy and excited I am to release this video because I had plans to continue this series for so very long. It's a series started years ago, you can check the playlist linked in the video for proof, but it's a series that I had to put on hold because of many different interferences, and time has also been a constant restraint. To be honest, I was actually planning my next video in this series to be on a different game. The script for it has been unfinished for close to 6 years now, and yeah, hopefully that is coming next. I hope that this opportunity to celebrate 25 years of The Sims and making this video will be the catalyst for releasing more such videos this year, because I like sharing my own stories in the hopes of us relating and coming together to discuss not only our experiences, but these great games of the past themselves. So before going, I would like to ask for your feedback, as it is crucial for the future of this series. Let me know if you'd like to see more such videos on the channel. It has been a struggle but also a dream that I haven't given up to diversify my content and video style. Thanks once again for watching, subscribe if you haven't already and want to see more, and I'll hopefully see you all next time very soon. So